American homeowners in their 50s and 60s are watching this fall's yard go quiet. The bees and butterflies never came back. Not your fault. Nobody ever showed you which native plants rebuild pollinator life. These 16 plants build a permanent, self-sustaining habitat your yard lost. Before plant number 1, drop your state right now because your USDA zone completely changes which of these performs best for you. Find yours and pay attention. And the one at number 9, researchers kept it off every shelf for 3 generations. Listen carefully. Plant number 1, pale purple coneflower. Most gardeners plant the standard coneflower and completely miss this one. It blooms nearly a month earlier for under $14, stretching your entire pollinator season before summer even begins. Picture a dusky lavender bloom cone standing tall in early spring light, already crowded with the season's first bees, while neighboring yards still sit completely empty, quiet, and pollinator-free. Zones 4 through 8, full sun, lean soil, done. Uncourt. My, lean soil done. What most sources skip. This plant's early bloom window feeds pollinators, weeks before nearly any other native wakes up. Michigan State University Extension research ties this early nectar directly to stronger spring pollinator survival rates. At just $14 a plant, one Drought, Tolerant clump returns every single spring for years, with zero replacement cost. Most American growers plant it in rich, fed garden soil, exactly the condition this species cannot tolerate. That single mistake kills the entire $14 investment within one season, forcing a complete replant next year. Get the soil lean and drainage sharp, and this single $14 clump repays you every spring for a decade without ever needing replacement or extra cost. But plant number 2 works on a completely different timeline than anything covered so far. One you plant exactly once and never have to touch again for 30 years. And somewhere in this video is the story of a grower in his 50s who hadn't seen a single monarch butterfly in his own yard in 3 years. That story is coming. Keep watching. Plant number 2, white wild indigo. Most growers plant something they replace every few years. This $24 clump becomes a small flowering shrub that can live and bloom in the exact same spot for decades without ever needing replacement. Setting, picture a shoulder-height mound of white pea-like blooms anchoring the entire border, deep blue-green foliage, holding structure long after the flowers fade each summer. Zones 4 through 9, full sun, deep soil, done. What almost nobody realizes, this species can outlive the gardener who planted it, functioning as a permanent flowering shrub, not a short-lived perennial. University extension data documents specimens thriving in one undisturbed spot for over 20 years straight. At $24 once, that is permanent value. Most growers never recover from a $14 yearly replacement habit. The single mistake that destroys it is moving the plant after establishment, since the deep taproot resents any transplanting. That mistake alone forces growers to start completely over, losing decades of root development instantly. Plant it once in the right spot, and this shrub will quietly outlive most of the fences, the furniture, and probably a few of the neighbors standing around it. But plant number 3 is the single most important plant on this entire list. Without it, one iconic North American species does not survive at all, anywhere in the country. Plant number 3, common milkweed. This $11 plant isn't just another pollinator flower, it's the only host plant monarch caterpillars can eat. And without it in your yard, monarch survival in your entire region drops towards zero. Picture soft pink-purple blooms clustered together, broad leaves already hosting the next generation of monarchs before a single butterfly ever visits your garden. Zones 3 through 9, full sun, well-drained soil, done. Documented by the USDA. This is the only host plant monarch caterpillars can survive on anywhere in North America, making it irreplaceable on this list. One $11 plant spreads by rhizome, quietly expanding your monarch habitat wider every single year without any extra cost. Skip milkweed entirely, and no other plant on this list can bring monarchs back to your yard at all. Most American growers plant just one lonely stem, isolated and surrounded by empty soil. That single mistake fails monarchs completely, since successful egg laying requires groups of 3 or more plants together. Plant milkweed in groups of 3 or more, and you give monarchs an actual fighting chance to survive, feed, and reproduce successfully right in your own backyard for years starting this coming season. But plant number 4 pulls in more butterfly species at once, all simultaneously, than almost anything else covered anywhere on this entire list. Plant number 4, dense blazing star. This $12 corn-based perennial is documented to attract a wider range of butterfly species than almost any other native on this list, all drawn to one single bloom spike at once. Picture a tall purple column standing straight up in the border, 3 or 4 completely different butterfly species working the same spike simultaneously in bright afternoon light. Zones 3 through 9, full sun, well-drained soil, done. University Pollinator research documents this species pulling in the widest range of butterfly species among all native liatris, not just a single dominant type. At $12 a corm, this plant multiplies underground every year, quietly turning one purchase into an expanding patch at 0 extra cost. Most American growers lose this plant entirely by leaving corms sitting in wet winter soil where standing moisture rots them completely before spring. That single mistake cost the full $12 investment and every future year of multiplication it would have produced. Keep the drainage sharp through winter, and this corm quietly multiplies into a wider, denser butterfly patch every single year without you ever lifting a finger to help it along or replant a thing. But plant number 5 can pull dozens of butterflies onto one single plant at the exact same moment, all at once, in peak bloom. Plant number 5, spotted Joe Pye weed. This $16 plant can pull dozens of butterflies onto one single bloom cluster at peak season, more simultaneous activity than almost anything else covered so far. Picture a towering dusty pink dome rising above the border, swarmed completely by butterflies while it thrives in the damp corner every other pollinator plant on this list rejects. Zones 3 through 8, full sun, moist soil, done. University Pollinator observation documents this species drawing higher simultaneous butterfly counts per bloom cluster than nearly any other native covered on this entire list. At $16 a plant, one clump placed in the right damp spot rewards you with a season-long butterfly spectacle every single year without fail. Most American growers place it in a standard dry border bed, the exact opposite of what this moisture-loving species actually needs to thrive. That single mistake causes steady decline within one season, wasting the full $16 investment and all the butterfly activity it was capable of producing. Give this one a damp corner instead of a standard dry border bed, and it rewards you with more simultaneous butterfly activity than nearly anything else in the entire yard, season after season, year after year. But plant number 6 brings a visual contrast so striking it stops most people scrolling right past a thumbnail, completely cold. Plant number 6, sweet coneflower. This $13 plant blooms later in the season than nearly every other coneflower covered on this list, extending your pollinator activity right as other native blooms are already fading out completely for the year. Picture bright gold petals wrapped tightly around a deep chocolate brown center, a visual contrast so sharp it pulls pollinators in from across the entire yard. Zones 4 through 8, full sun, done. University extension sources document this species blooming weeks later than standard coneflowers, keeping pollinator food available as summer starts winding down. At $13 a plant, one clump extends your entire garden's productive season without a single extra dollar spent. The dramatic gold and brown contrast alone makes it one of the strongest visual anchors on this whole list. Most American growers tuck it into partial shade, assuming any coneflower tolerates low light like its cousins. That single mistake produces sparse, leggy growth and almost no bloom at all by late summer. Give this one full sun, and it stretches your pollinator season weeks past, when every other coneflower on this entire list has already finished blooming completely for the year and gone dormant. But plant number 7 proves that pollinator gardening doesn't have to mean constant watering or high maintenance at all, ever, in any zone. Plant number 7, rough blazing star. This $12 corm is one of the most drought-tolerant liatris species available anywhere in the country, thriving in lean, dry soil that would stress out most other pollinator plants on this entire list. Picture a tall purple spike standing firm in cracked, gravelly ground. Proof that serious pollinator gardening doesn't require constant watering at all, ever. Zones 3 through 8, full sun, lean soil, done. University extension trials rank this among the most drought, resilient native perennials tested, tolerating conditions that would kill most garden pollinator plants outright. At $12 a corm, this multiplying perennial rewards low effort with years of increasing bloom for zero extra spending. Most American growers instinctively plant it in rich, well-fed soil, treating it like a typical garden perennial that needs feeding. That single mistake causes rot and steady decline, since this species specifically demands lean, drained conditions to survive at all. Skip the fertilizer and the extra watering completely. And this corm rewards your neglect with more reliable blooms every single year than almost any high-maintenance plant on this entire list could ever hope to manage on its very best day. Now here is the story I promised you back at the very start of this entire video. Earlier at the start of this video, I mentioned a grower in his 50s who hadn't seen a single monarch butterfly in his own yard in 3 years. This is that story. He gardened in Zone 6, had spent years on ornamental plants that looked full but fed nothing. And after finding Michigan State University Extension pollinator research, he started replacing them one border at a time with species from this very list, beginning with common milkweed. By the following summer, monarchs and half a dozen native bee species had returned to his Zone 6 yard, built on roughly $150 in plants across 2 seasons. If you're still watching, this next stretch of the video is why this list exists at all. Not for the algorithm, but for the grower who stayed. Plant number 9 is still coming, and researchers have ranked it among the single highest value native plants for insect diversity ever measured. Plant number 8, Missouri ironweed. This $13 plant's deep purple color is documented as highly attractive specifically to native bee species, blooming right when late-season nectar sources are already running scarce almost everywhere else. Picture tall purple clusters towering above a fading late summer border, drawing bee activity your yard hasn't hosted since early spring. Zones 5 through 8, full sun, moist soil, done. University pollinator research documents this deep purple bloom as specifically attractive to native bee species, not just generalist pollinators passing through occasionally. At $13 a plant, it fills a late-season nectar gap. Most gardens leave completely empty from August, straight through frost. Most American growers place it in a standard dry border, assuming any tough-looking perennial tolerates dry conditions just fine. That single mistake stunts growth and bloom size dramatically, since this species specifically requires consistently moist soil to thrive at all. Keep this one consistently moist, and it fills the exact nectar gap most yards. Leave completely empty every single late summer, straight through the very first hard frost of the entire year. But plant number 9 is the one researchers rated among the single highest value native plants for insect diversity ever measured in the field. Plant number 9, mountain mint. This is the plant researchers have been documenting as one of the single highest visitation native species ever measured. And this $11 plant delivers on every bit of that claim. Picture a dense patch of tiny white blooms hosting bees, wasps, beetles, and moths all feeding at once. More insect diversity on one plant than anywhere else in this entire yard. Zones 4 through 8, full sun done. University pollinator research has documented this species among the highest visitation native plants ever measured, attracting more total insect diversity than almost anything else studied. At just $11, this extremely low maintenance perennial keeps producing that same research-backed result for decades with zero replacement cost. Most American growers plant it in a small container, assuming it behaves like a typical patio herb rather than a spreading native. That single mistake stunts the plant severely, since mountain mint spreads best and performs strongest planted directly in open ground. Plant it directly in the ground, and this $11 perennial delivers the highest documented insect diversity on this entire list for decades straight, without any real ongoing effort required. But plant number 10 is one of the very last native bloomers, still standing when almost everything else in the yard has already gone quiet. Plant number 10, Aromatic aster. This $11 plant is one of the very last native bloomers of the entire season, feeding pollinators right up until the very first hard frost, when almost nothing else is left blooming anywhere. Picture a dense mound of small purple blooms holding on in a yard where every other plant has already gone quiet, still drawing bees steadily in cooling fall air. Zones 4 through 8, full sun, lean soil done. Documented as one of the final native nectar sources before winter, this species keeps feeding pollinators when nearly every other plant on this list has already finished for the year. At $11 a plant, extreme drought tolerance, once established, means zero watering costs across most growing seasons. Most American growers plant it in rich, fertile soil, assuming more nutrients always means better performance from any perennial. That single mistake produces weak, floppy growth that flops over and blooms far less than a lean soil planting would. Keep the soil lean, and this compact mound stays upright and blooming steadily right through the first hard frost, feeding pollinators when almost nothing else left standing in the yard still can. But plant number 11 is shaped specifically by evolution for one particular group of pollinators, and it is not honeybees at all. Plant number 11, Foxglove beardtongue. This $11 plant's tubular white blooms are shaped specifically by evolution for native bee pollination, not the honeybees most gardeners assume every single flower exists to serve. Picture upright white spikes with bees, disappearing directly into each tube. A pollination relationship built over thousands of years, quietly happening in your own border. Zones 3 through 8, full sun, well, drained soil done. University extension sources document this bloom shape as specifically adapted for native bee tongues, a relationship most honeybees can barely access at all. At $11 a plant, it self-seeds gently over time, expanding the planting naturally without a single extra dollar spent. Most American growers leave it in soggy winter soil, assuming any tough perennial survives standing water through the cold months. That single mistake causes root rot and total plant loss, since well-drained conditions are absolutely non-negotiable for winter survival. Keep the drainage sharp through winter, and this self-seeding native quietly expands its own coverage every single year without you ever having to plant a single new seed by hand yourself ever again. But plant number 12 is a true native version of a garden favorite most growers already assume they fully know well. Plant number 12, Basil bee balm. This $11 plant is a true native Monarch species, far less prone to the powdery mildew that plagues the common bright red garden bee balm varieties most Americans already grow every summer. Picture pale lavender, white whorled blooms spaced cleanly apart in the border, bees working each cluster without a trace of the mildew damage nearby varieties usually show. Zones 4 through 8, full sun done. University extension sources confirm this native species carries significantly stronger mildew resistance than the common cultivated bee balm varieties sold at most garden centers nationwide. At $11 a plant, it spreads gently by rhizome, expanding pollinator coverage across the border at zero extra cost. Most American growers crowd it tightly against neighboring plants, assuming spacing matters less for a tough native perennial. That single mistake traps moisture and triggers mildew fast, even in a species genetically built to resist it. Give it room to breathe, and this native Monarch stays clean and mildew-free while its common cousins struggle through every single humid summer week without fail, year after year without exception. But plant number 13 is the low-growing native that keeps blooming right through the hottest stretch of the entire season without pause. Plant number 13, wild petunia. This $11 plant keeps blooming continuously right through the hottest, most brutal weeks of summer, exactly when many pollinator plants on this entire list pause blooming or shut down completely until things cool off. Picture a low-spreading patch of lavender, purple blooms holding steady through blazing midday heat, while taller neighbors visibly wilt all around it. Zones 4 through 8, full sun done, documented as one of the few native pollinator plants that blooms continuously straight through peak summer heat. This species keeps nectar available exactly when supply typically drops elsewhere. At $11 a plant, its low-growing spreading habit fills border gaps other taller natives on this list simply cannot reach. Most American growers tuck it into partial shade, mistaking its low profile for a typical shade, tolerant ground cover option. That single mistake halts blooming almost entirely, since full sun is absolutely required for this species to flower continuously. Give this one full sun, and it keeps blooming steadily through the exact weeks when most pollinator plants on this entire list pause completely, filling a gap almost nothing else in the yard fills. But plant number 14 spreads into a dense patch of color that just keeps expanding wider on its own every single year, completely unassisted. Plant number 14, Prairie coreopsis. This $11 plant spreads by rhizome to form a dense, long-blooming patch of bright yellow, expanding wider across your border every single year with zero replanting required. Picture a solid mass of yellow blooms steadily pushing outward past its original planting line. Thriving in lean soil most other flowering plants would find far too poor. Zones 3 through 8, full sun, lean soil, done. University extension sources document this species as one of the most reliable self-expanding native rhizome spreaders available for any prairie-style planting anywhere in the country. At $11 a plant, one clump becomes a dense multi-foot patch within just a few seasons at zero additional cost. Most American growers plant it in rich, well-fed garden soil, expecting faster spread from better nutrition like typical ornamentals need. That single mistake produces weak, floppy growth and dramatically slower expansion than a lean, prairie-like planting would ever achieve. Keep the soil lean, and this patch quietly doubles in width every few seasons, filling border gaps you would otherwise pay real money to plant and maintain yourself, season after season, year after year, without ever stopping. But plant number 15 brings a texture unlike anything else covered anywhere so far on this entire list. Plant number 15, Threadleaf coreopsis. This $11 plant offers fine, thread-like foliage, giving it a soft, airy texture unlike any other single plant covered anywhere on this entire list of 16 species. Picture delicate feathery leaves swaying gently in the breeze, while small yellow blooms continue steadily from early summer all the way through fall without any real gaps. Zones 4 through 9, full sun, done. Documented as one of the longest continuous bloomers among native coreopsis species, this plant flowers from early summer straight through fall without the typical mid-season pause other varieties require. At $11 a plant, that extended bloom window means pollinator food available across nearly the entire growing season. Most American growers plant it in standard wet garden soil, assuming its delicate appearance means it needs extra consistent moisture. That single mistake causes root rot fast, since this species specifically requires sharp drainage to survive and keep blooming. Keep the drainage sharp, and this delicate-looking native blooms steadily from early summer clear through fall without a single real gap in pollinator food across the entire growing season, year after year without fail. But plant number 16 does something no other plant on this entire list can do at all, and it actually moves. Plant number 16, Partridge pea. This $9 plant folds its own leaflets, shut the instant you touch them. A genuine interactive feature no other species on this entire list actually offers anywhere. Picture small bright yellow blooms scattered across fern, like foliage that visibly closes in real time, while nearby plants quietly benefit from the nitrogen it fixes directly into the surrounding soil. Zones 3 through 9, full sun, done. University extension sources confirm this native legume fixes nitrogen directly into the soil while simultaneously feeding pollinators. a rare dual benefit among plants on this entire list. At $9 a plant, its self-seeding habit means one season's planting can return year after year at zero replacement cost. Most American growers cut it back completely, each fall, expecting perennial return like most other natives covered here. That single mistake removes the seed source entirely, since this species is a self-seeding annual that needs its own seed set to return. Let the seed pods fully mature and drop naturally before cutting anything back, and this legume returns entirely on its own every single year at zero cost while quietly feeding the soil beneath it. That completes all 16 plants on this entire list. But 3 things about them almost no other source puts in one place. 3 things about this list that almost no other source puts together in one place. First, 4 specific plants from tonight's 16 bloom, in careful sequence, spring straight through first frost, so pollinators never face a single real gap in nectar across the entire growing season. Second, common milkweed only works for monarchs, when planted in groups of 3 or more, since isolated single stems consistently fail to support successful egg laying in the wild. Third, one common lawn, chemical habit, broad insecticide spraying anywhere near flowering borders, undoes every single plant covered on this list, instantly killing the exact pollinators this entire yard was carefully rebuilt over months to attract. Treat this list as compounding, not decorative. Each border planted this season becomes a denser, more valuable pollinator anchor every single year after. Here is exactly where to begin, based on your specific zone right now. Zones 3 through 6 start with pale purple coneflower, common milkweed, dense blazing star, mountain mint, foxglove beardtongue, and prairie coreopsis, 6 proven cold-hardy plants, totaling roughly $65 that anchor real pollinator activity through your region's shortest growing season. Plant these together this fall for a full established bloom cycle by next spring, not a partial or delayed one. Zones 6 through 9 start with white wild indigo, Missouri ironweed, Basil bee balm, and wild petunia, 4 warm zone plants totaling roughly $53 and built specifically for your longer, consistently hotter growing season ahead. Miss this fall planting window entirely, and your first full bloom cycle waits an entire extra year before these root systems ever get the chance to fully establish. You just discovered 16 native plants documented to bring bees and butterflies back to a yard that quietly lost them years ago without anyone even noticing it happening. If this helps rebuild what your own yard used to have, hit like right now, so other serious growers can actually find it too. Comment when you last actually saw a monarch butterfly in your own yard, then drop your state and zone below, so other growers know exactly what performs where you live. Subscribe to Natural Verge, 50 years of plant knowledge delivered every single week for the grower who actually wants their yard back.